On pole, John Surtees in the McLaren, Ben Mitchell alongside him in the Chevron, and Andrew Galdi in the other Chevron make up the front row. The revs rise, and we're about to go racing for the Surtees Trophy, and the flag flies, and we are racing. A great start, a brilliant start from third place man Andrew Galdi in the Chevron, away and well. So good a start he got, heading into Madrid with a gap in front of him, and then slotting in alongside Surtees and Mitchell going toe to toe. Who's going to come out on top of him? It's actually Ian Simmons in the Lola, who had a great start from the second row, getting up into second in front of Surtees. So the pole man falling down to third in the early stages. But what a start from Andrew Galdi with the gap he has, already over a second as the 129 further back in the pack, trying to find a little bit of room. That's the Cooper of James Bellingham slotting in behind. Alex Brundle keeping neat and tidy as well, making up a couple of positions early doors.
Yeah, Alex Brundle got a great start, but not as good as Andrew Galdi. He has launched away into the lead. He was about 1.4 seconds off John Surtees' fastest time yesterday, so he'll obviously clearly feel he needs to try and get the jump, and that he certainly did. Is nice and cleanly getting away. I did see there was one staller on the grid, not sure who that was, but everyone managed to avoid.
Here we go, a little move being done. Ian Simmons coming under pressure from John Surtees, who makes it look easy down the inside of the right-hander, approaches, and through goes Surtees, making up positions. The pole sitter doesn't usually have a habit of getting away well in any race around the Goodwood members meeting so far today. John Surtees adding to that list, but now making up for lost time as they come across the line to start lap 2 of this 25-minute race, already down to 23 minutes and 21 seconds. This is Alex Brundle in the number 1 GT40, chasing that 129. James Bellinger in the Cooper, the GT40 powering its way along, and they are bringing Ben Mitchell in the Chevron, who had a bit of a tough start as well. He was second place. He's fallen all the way down to 7th.
Yeah, and here we get the replay of the start. Looks slightly, but I mean, look at that for a launch from Andrew. Absolutely launched away, and I still can't see from the shot the car that did stall at the back, but everyone avoided. But it's a nice gap. But hang on, Harry. Looks like to me that 1.7 gap is starting to close.
Is this where it starts to make up time? Surtees now up into second spot, so he is picking them off one by one after his tough start from pole position. We're looking at the 2016 European Le Mans champion Alex Brundle in the number 1 Ford GT40, just in front of Ben Mitchell in the Chevron, the all-white Chevron, chasing down the black number 1 GT40. Brundle, you can see there, having a quick look to his left-hand mirror to see where that car is. I think actually Bellinger might just have been overtaken as well by Ben Mitchell. I think the Cooper has just made a move on him as well. So let's see what it is over the line. The number 2 getting across is the McLaren, actually, of Roger Wills that's got in front. Brundle 4th, Wills 5th then in the red McLaren. Then comes Ben Mitchell in the Chevron in 3rd. So Galdi leads, but that gap is coming down.
It is coming down. However, timing screens, I know the move's just taken place. 10-second penalty for Andrew Galdi for a false start. So we'll have another look. I mean, he's lost the lead now. A move has taken place by Surtees is through, but that's going to drop him way down the order. Currently, that would drop him all the way outside the top 10.
It did look quick. It did look a little too quick off the line, but I'm sure we'll get another look at it later on. This is how it stands then after 2 laps so far of some frenetic action in this, the Surtees Trophy. It's Galdi who leads at the moment. Started 3rd, up into the lead in his Chevron. Half a second the gap between himself and poleman John Surtees in the number 96 McLaren. That's how it currently looks. Then comes Simmons in the 117, making his way through and up past the next car along. So that would have been well, that's Simmons getting through earlier. So the 117 of Ian Simmons just coming through the chicane now in front of the 81 car, making its way across the line now. Alex Brundle just behind in 4th, and he'll be next up to try and get through on Galdi in that 81, who has the penalty for the false start. It was an amazing start for Galdi, but now coming under pressure from Brundle behind, who's just set the fastest lap that time around. Brundle is coming through here at a rate of knots. He's looking to the inside of Galdi, who has that penalty. It's easy pickings for Alex Brundle alongside. The GT40 goes through, but he runs a little bit out wide. That's going to give Galdi a tighter line, but that GT40 has more power, almost has a bit of a kick on the rear on the exit. Galdi's not giving this one up, but Brundle is through for the time being and up into third spot.
Yeah, Brundle is wringing the neck of that Ford GT40. Galdi's having a little bit of a look out of Levant. Now heading down the Levant straight, and you'll hit the brakes heading into Woodgood corner. But if Alex Brundle keeps this pace up, it could potentially not be too long before he is certainly on the back of the car in second place, Simmons, but certainly chasing down Spears as well. And just looking at the sector times, they are fairly close. But Alex Brundle is really, he had the fuel pump failure in qualifying, but it's certainly not held him back. Clearly problems have been fixed for the race.
He's a tenth quicker than the leader is at the moment on that last lap around. It's John Spears who leads in the McLaren in front of Ian Simmons in the Lola in second. Alex Brundle making waves in the Ford GT40. Started in 10th, already up into third. Then comes Andrew Galdi in the Chevron, who had a penalty. This is going back a little further in the pack with the 44. That was Andrew Haddon having a little bit of contact in his McLaren Chevron with the 129 Cooper of James Bellinger, just getting a little bit tight in that mid-pack, in that battle between around about 7th place coming through the chicane.
Yeah, and now looking at the sector time, Simmons fastest of anybody in the first sector. He's looking in his mirrors and going, hang on a second, Alex Brundle has made all his way up the field, as we've got the spinner there. That's the number 44 of Andrew Haddon. He's gone a long way off. Looks like he'll be getting out of the car as well. But back to the battle for the front, effectively. The gap now between Brundle and Simmons is 0.8 of a second, 3.5 seconds off the lead. But wherever you look, Harry, in this field, we have got battles for positions.
It's absolutely fantastic. Today has treated us with so much great racing action. It's brilliant. Such a wide variety here at the 81st Goodwood members meeting. 5 laps into this Surtees Trophy for sports car prototypes racing between 1960 and 1966. As the pole sitter, after a tough start, has regained the lead in his McLaren. John Spears currently leads the way in front of Ian Simmons in the Lola. Currently second, but Alex Brundle, fastest lap overall, but Simmons is coming back at him. Brundle in the GT40, trying to reel in second place in third. Then comes Andrew Galdi in the Chevron, who had a mega start, but it was deemed too quick, a false start. He was given a 10-second penalty. That will be applied as he's dropped back into fourth for the time being. Then comes James Bellinger in the Cooper. That rounds out the top 5, but a nice battle here going between Julian Draper in the number 29. That's the Attila Chevrolet, battling with the McLaren of Roger Wills in front. Wills in the red McLaren, running a little bit out wide there. It's all about carrying momentum here, isn't it, Alice? So many different lines you can take, each with their own positives and negatives. Yeah,
and of course, depends on your car balance too, but one thing that might affect the battle at the front is some of the slower cars at the back, and we've seen it in plenty of the races earlier today and yesterday, where those back markers just affected the result. And I know what it's like. You're coming up to back of a back knock and you say, please get out of the way, or you're hoping that you time it perfectly and able to get past a back marker somewhere on the track. But lap times are starting to sort of pitter out a little bit. No real personal best being set, certainly at the front. But the gap is coming down, certainly between Brundle and Simmons, but also between Brundle, Simmons, Galdi chasing down Spears. 2.6 seconds now, the gap.
Yeah, Galdi is caught up to the back of Brundle, who was also caught up to the back of Simmons. And Brundle can probably see Spears just about as well in front. He can see the lead of this race with 16 minutes remaining, tantalizingly close, and he is absolutely wringing the neck of that Ford GT40. It's the number 1 car that contains Brundle. Lock up from Galdi down the inside in the Chevron on Brundle. Brundle's rear end sticks out. He controls it nicely, but Brundle down a position, down to 4th. Galdi coming back. And now Ian Simmons in second, Galdi third, Brundle 4th, but Brundle with all the power, almost 468 brake horsepower in that GT40, now back in front of the Chevron of Galdi. What a fight this is.
Yeah, it's a great fight. Galdi's going to have a little look down the chicane. That's brave stuff, thinks better of it. Alex did the right thing, gave him racing room. He'll step on the gas now, head up this slightly uphill start-finish line. And they don't have radios in these cars, so Alex might not actually be aware that Galdi has got the 10-second penalty. I've been trying to check out our commentary box window, Harry, to see if there's any sign of anything on pit boards or what have you, and I can't see anything like that at the moment, so Brundle might not be aware, so he won't really, anyway, regardless of the penalty, want to lose too much time battling with Galdi, because he'll be able to see Spears eking away now at the front. 1 second Alex Brundle lost that last lap to the front, so that just shows if you have a battle, can certainly lose your time, as the number 2 car has come into the pits now. That's a real shame. The Wills car has boxed there, so I'm not sure if it's some kind of issue, but back to the action. Alex Brundle continued to wring the neck of the GT40.
Yeah, shame for Roger Wilson. That McLaren was up in the point scoring positions, points to the top 10 finish, so now with a possible mechanical issue in that McLaren pulling into the pits. We also just caught the back end of a great fight, which I think is still going on between 7th and 8th at the moment. It's Tony Sinclair in 8th in the Lola Chevron, and then just in front of him is the number 29 Julian Draper in the Attila Chevrolet. So that is also a battle, just a couple of tenths between them. We're focusing on the battle just in front, which contains Bellinger and Mitchell, and they are closing in on the guys in front of them as well. So could we end up with a 6-way battle here for, well, second, because John Spears at the moment still has over 2.5 seconds the gap. It's Bellinger in the 129. That's the Cooper in front, and he's keeping Ben Mitchell behind him for the time being in the Chevron. He started on the front row. Meanwhile, trouble for the number 33 GT40 finds itself off and into the cross. That is Jacob Viggo Holstein, who started down in 21st.
Yeah, managed to hopefully pull away, so we don't have any stoppages, any safety car. But it's all settled out, apart from Spears now. He has really opened it up at the front. The battle continues behind as well, between Bellinger and Mitchell. Mitchell will obviously be disappointed. Was starting up in 2nd place in the group. Just fell away a little bit at the start, so he'll be hoping to try and make his way further back up the field. But personal bests are starting to creep back in again, so we had a bit of a lull, but now purple in the first sector from Simmons, but Spears, he's looking fairly comfortable, consistently doing 121.2s, 121.3s.
Ben Mitchell with the fastest lap of the race so far. That is the number 95 car you were just looking at there a moment ago. And now traffic coming into play here. That's Alex Brundle trying to get past some of the lapped traffic. That's another GT40 Michael Birch, who's further down in the field, but the GT40 gets through on its sister, as does Galdi. So 3rd and 4th remains in that tight battle. Then comes Bellinger, the top 5, still in front of Mitchell at the moment. The Cooper keeping ahead of the Chevron, but they are closing in at a rapid rate of knots with Galdi and Brundle only a few more seconds up the road. But now we're getting into that stage where traffic is having to be managed. Sinclair is Tony Sinclair in the Lola down in 7th, made a good start from 13th. Then comes Julian Draper in the Attila. That is a nice fight still going on for 7th and 8th. Not too far behind them either is the number 30 of Sykes, which has had a good run from 6th in the Chinook, and the top 10 rounded out by the number 83. That's Charlie Martin in the Lola. They're your point scorers at the moment, but so far a bit of a rough start for our pole sitter John Spears, but after getting and regaining the lead has maintained between 2.5 and 3 second gap, and really is forcing the others behind him to do battle. It's Ian Simmons, it's Alex Brundle, and it's Andrew Galdi all doing battle over those podium places.
Yeah, it certainly is. Alex Brundle getting a bit boxed there And Simmons now has dropped down, so looks like maybe he's had a collision at some point or got stuck behind a back marker. We'll have to see if we can have a look. It says outlap on our timing screen, but he's certainly not gone in the pits. So Brundle now promoted up to P2. So let's have a little bit of a look as if
it was navigating the traffic. That's what it was. So as Brundle was navigating the traffic, Sinclair got caught. Simmons got caught. Almost stuck, but then went really slow through the chicane, actually. So because Brundle and Galdi both got through, here they are now, and you can see behind them as well that Simmons is still there and in this race side by side. Though Galdi onto the grass, the rear end steps out. Brundle through, keeps hold of that position, up into second, Galdi down into third, and here comes Simmons, having just lost a couple of positions, seemingly caught out by a bit of traffic. Simmons through now and back in front of Galdi into third, but he was fighting with Brundle as well. He'll have another couple of seconds to close up that gap now.
Oh, yeah, Galdi was almost shaking his head, I think, there by the looks of it. Alex Brundle, but it looked like Brundle gave him enough racing room. Galdi just clipping the grass. Very close stuff there on the exit, but that's pushed him down. Remember, he has got that 10-second penalty, so for a false start, which will drop him much further down the order. But that now brings him Bellinger in the 1-2-9 into this battle, and Ben Mitchell. So we said the traffic would play a part, and ever so sideways with Bellinger on the exit of Madwick there, but manages to gather it together and sneak on through.
The Cooper gets through on the Chevron. A little bit of smoke coming off the tyre as well for James Bellinger in that Cooper. And now it's navigating the traffic. They've got to get through on a GT40. It's currently Cooper in the lead of this gaggle, but look out for the 95. That's the other Chevron of Ben Mitchell, who's making hay while the sun shines in the traffic. He's getting himself right into this mix. I thought he would have got them both, but no, he falls back behind again. It's still the 1-2-9 in the lead of this gaggle. This is currently the fight for third place, for Bellinger, sorry, for fifth place, currently in that fifth spot. Then comes Galdi, then comes the Ben Mitchell Chevron. Three fighting tooth and nail. 8.5 minutes remain. It's John Surtees now who leads Alex Brundle by almost 8 seconds. So far, faultless from Surtees once he retook the lead.
Yeah, Brundle will be pleased to have a little bit of breathing space, but how long he's going to have that breathing space, I'm not too sure. Simmons setting a decent lap, 0.4 of a second quicker that time round with Alex Brundle, whilst having a little bit of a battle as well, getting through the traffic. But this battle for this final podium positions is raging at the moment. And is that Alex Brundle slowing?
Brundle slow in the GT40. Falls down from second place. Alex Brundle, who started 10th and absolutely clawed his way up through the field, was up into second spot with only a few laps. Has there been a mistake? Is there an issue on the Ford GT40 of Alex Brundle, who plummets through the field? He's still running, but that promotes Simmons up into second. Then comes Bellinger, then Galdi, then Mitchell, all making their way through. Brundle dropping through the timings. There he is, just to the left of shot. He'll come through in a moment. He's just in the background there. You can see him still running. So was there a mistake for Brundle? We'll try and find out. But at the moment, he's lost second place, and through goes Simmons and the rest of the gang.
Yeah, that's so frustrating. I'm not sure whether that is a mistake from Brundle, just looking at the speed traps, and he's certainly much slower than the speed he was going earlier on, as someone's clipped the chicane at some point there. So that is frustration for Alex Brundle, who was pretty keen he could get a podium. Fuel pump failure yesterday, but let's see if he's carried on going. So I'm not too entirely sure, to be honest, but his speed traps are certainly down, so maybe he is just trying to gather the car back home. Feels like the problem's not big enough to box, but we can still see him going around there in the background.
Yeah, meanwhile, the two Chevrons doing battle in front of him as well, fighting it out. Now Ben Mitchell up into fifth place, just behind Andrew Galdi, fourth and fifth at the moment. It's John Surtees who leads in the McLaren by nearly 11 seconds. Then comes Ian Simmons, next up in the Lolo in second. Then it's James Bellinger in the Cooper. Back markers coming into play for the two Chevrons though, and it's getting tight and tighter. Bellinger now embroiled in an absolute battle with the two Chevrons behind. Bellinger holding out for the time being. Kirkcaldy's going to be coming under pressure from Mitchell in the 95 all-white Chevron, who's going to make it round the outside. They close right up under braking to Bellinger in front, who's in the Cooper, and it's Kirkcaldy who wins out the Chevron fight because Mitchell has to run out onto the grass through the chicane. Another lap of that, please. I'll take it very much so.
Yeah, and the 129 of Bellinger puts his hand up, maybe something on the pit board there that's possibly signalling that Kirkcaldy might have, or has a penalty, so not to lose too much time in that battle. But he's got to watch out for Ben Mitchell, because Ben Mitchell has no penalties, so he will still be fighting for position. Kirkcaldy's going to drop down at the moment to around about 6th place. Alex Brundle still crawling around with some kind of issue. He was in the 122s, 121s earlier on. He's now in the 126s as we get that beautiful drone shot as this trio of cars are coming up to
traffic. That's the Lola, which has to lock up the 117 of Ian Simmons, which is currently in 2nd place. So this is now the battle for 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th, who are all within a couple of tenths of each other. It's being headed up by the Lola, and then coming through is the 129, the Cooper of James Bellinger, just behind in 3rd. Then comes Andrew Kirkcaldy in the Chevron, the 81, which has a penalty, remember. Oh, lock up there.
Was there contact there, Harry? That was so close.
So close for Bellinger in the Cooper, almost nudging Simmons through the corner, through the final chicane. I think someone once again notched the bit that's hanging off the wall on the exit of the chicane. Across the line then, here we go. Simmons up into 2nd, then comes Bellinger. Kirkcaldy, who's giving us an absolute race of a lifetime here with that penalty for the full start, which is such a shame. In 4th place at the moment, he's got a 10-second time penalty. Then comes Ben Mitchell in that Chevron, which has been stalking him like a hawk ever since lap 1, and more pain for Alex Brundle, who's sliding down the order once again after being up into 2nd. Did he come into the pits?
I think so, yeah. So, it's so close to contact. There is the 129.
Bellinger's off. Bellinger off into the grass, and also the other one as well, just skating off into the grass, but manages to rejoin. That's the Lola of Simmons. They were all so close to each other, absolutely pushing to the limit. It was only a matter of time before something went wrong. Ian Simmons finding the grass, so too Bellinger. And Kirkcaldy then getting through on both of them with the other Chevron, but because Kirkcaldy, that's the car we're looking at now, has the 10-second penalty, Ben Mitchell, all he needs to do is to stick right behind him, and 2nd's his. Leader spun, that's John Spears in the McLaren, the 96. The pole sitter, the race leader, has spun. He had a sizable gap, but has that cost him the lead of this race? I think it has done. It absolutely has. Spears then spinning out. We haven't seen how it happened, but we've seen the end result, and that means Kirkcaldy now finds himself back into the lead of this race with a 10-second time penalty. Ben Mitchell in the other Chevron is 7 tenths behind him, who all he needs to do is stay within 10 seconds, and he's going to win this race if he can hold on to it for the next 2 minutes. Let's see what happened to our race leader.
Is it going to be contact there? Possibly. I said the back markers would come into play, and it looks like, I mean, nice shot of a building there, but it looks like he had some kind of contact with the number 4.
That's the Korachant for GT40,
yeah, another one of our
back marker.
And he had over a 12-second gap as well, so he was obviously just desperate to try and make his way through. And yeah, that's so unfortunate, because now that has really dropped him down 4th place, technically in 3rd place with Kirkcaldy's penalty. But it's not holding him back, Harry. He's just gone purple in the 1st sector and purple in the 2nd sector, and that will close the gap by 2 seconds to these trio up the front, because we've just seen how much they've lost. And yeah, there we go. That inside shot there just shows there was some contact. Fastest lap of the race by Spears, a 118.6, and Mitchell, who you could say theoretically is the leader, 121.2 last time round. Yeah. So if Spears keeps up this place with a minute left to go, potentially could close the gap if these two are going to start fighting.
The question is, you mentioned it earlier, Alice, about the radio and the messaging. Does Galdi even know he's got a penalty? He's racing hammer and tongs to the end, trying to cut through. Look at the GT40 traffic in front. The two Chevrons leading this race, but Galdi has a penalty, which would mean Ben Mitchell has the net lead. They've now got to thread the needle through 1, 2, 3 GT40s. They just about keep it neat and tidy. Galdi holding on. Will we get another lap, or will this be the final lap? It's going to be nip and tuck. We'll have to wait and see if the flag is there on the line. Either way, Mitchell and Galdi are going flat out till the bitter end. Simmons is third. John Surtees, our race leader for so long, spinning out a couple of laps to go with contact with a back marker, putting in the fast lap times, trying to get himself back up and closing in. It will be a podium position. I don't think we're going to get this as the final lap. The next one around will be, and the checkered flag will come out. But can Mitchell get in front of Galdi and take the win on the road, or will he sit behind? But he won't know either that Galdi's got a 10-second penalty, so he'll be thinking, this is it for the win. I've got to make the move.
Spears has now jumped back up onto the podium spots. These two, I'm not sure whether Ben Mitchell, let's see the behaviour of Ben. He'll look behind and go, okay, I've got a gap behind. I don't need to attack. If he doesn't attack, I'm guessing that Ben knows that Galdi's got that penalty, and at the moment doesn't really look like he is attacking. There's a little bit more traffic which they should navigate fairly easily. There's our previous race leader, Spears, who's going to be absolutely kicking himself for having that spin there, I think, which was at Woodcote Corner. But Ben Mitchell looks like he might be settling for second place on the road, but of course that is going to be the win of the race with Galdi's penalty, which will, unfortunately for him, drop him way down the order, not as far as it would earlier on, but down in 5th place he will end up finishing.
Through the chicane then, one final time to see off the Surtees Trophy, and what a race that has been. Andrew Galdi will take the checkered flag first, but with penalty applied, it will be the chevron of Ben Mitchell who takes the race win. John Surtees, who started on pole, a poor start, led this race for so long, spinning out, will have to settle for second, and then the 117, the Lola of Ian Simmons, will round out the podium. Galdi with the penalty applied comes home in 4th. Charlie Martin with a great result from 9th on the grid in the Lola will round out the top 5. But my words, what a race that was. The sports cars deliver time and time again.